So I just finished reading USAssassin #2, and I have to say, this is a much better outing for the comic book than it was on the first one. Obviously, because these came together, a lot of the scores are going to be the same. Packaging is still a 3 out of 5. The cover art, however, I gotta say I do like it. It tells the story of what's going to be happening in the book, without actually giving away spoilers. And unlike most of the comic book covers I see nowadays, this isn't just some glory shot meant to appeal to the eye for 5 seconds. This actually has some substance to the story actually taking place in the book. To that end, I'm actually going to give the cover art a 4 out of 5. I mean, it's not a great cover, but at least it does more to tell what you can expect from the story than you're getting from most books nowadays. The coloring on the inside, it's from the same people, so it's about the same quality. Same thing goes for the lettering. It's professional grade lettering. So the coloring gets a 3 and the lettering gets a 3 because, again, it is of professional quality. The interior artwork is actually where this shines the most. I mean, when I read the first US Assassin, the artwork, it was just below professional quality, which is why it got a 2.5 star instead of a full 3. This is actually a step above. It's actually better than industry standards as far as quality is concerned. And this is actually going to get a 3.5 out of 5 stars because this is a significant improvement. Oh yeah, there's still some funky little spots in it, occasionally the eyes are misaligned or something like that, but it's nowhere near as bad as what happened in issue #1 of US Assassin. Additionally, the body proportions are better, the anatomy's better, the poses for the characters are better, everything is significantly improved, and the refinement in the artwork really is a pleasure to see. So Mike McMahon did a really great job as far as the artwork's concerned, and he and his team should feel real proud of the improvements made over the original book. Unfortunately, this brings us to the deficit in the book. The one thing that I wanted to see improve and didn't, and that is the writing. Mark Poulton has a good idea here. It's just not being executed very well. I mean, we start the book with a flash forward, then we go to a flash back, then we go back to the present, which is where the flash forward started. But as you continue forward, the logical inconsistencies just keep on mounting, and worst of all, it makes the tragic mistake that I'm seeing in a lot of Comicsgate books, and that it is so focused on the action and adventure that there is zero pathos to anything happening inside of the book. Joseph Knight is 1 part ninja, 1 part Captain America, and he should be an absolutely stellar character that you would want to follow. Instead, he's not a character at all. Everything in this book is so cookie cutter that it just leaves me feeling disappointed. And I don't want to tear this book down because this is a satisfying book. Just like in the first book, once you get past the first 5 or 10 pages of Drek, the story picks up with some action and you actually enjoy what you're reading, but you don't care about what you're reading. That's the problem. So Mark, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of free advice. If you go back to the Marvel Revolution, you'll find that Stan Lee and his team were able to make a new product that not only competed with DC, but absolutely destroyed them in the comic book marketplace because you cared about the characters and what was happening in their life. The key to Stan Lee's writing that made the Marvel characters household names overnight was the concept of the internal and the external threat. Let me go ahead and explain this. The external threat is the supervillain. The external threat is whatever's going on that interrupts the hero's life and causes them grief. The Red Skull returns from the dead. Doc Ock knocks over a bank. The Mandarin attacks Iron Man at his office building. These are all external threats. But these threats just provided the action. They did not provide the emotional hook that actually made the comic book stories by Stan Lee compelling, interesting, and successful. Let's take a look at what we could have done as an alternative with the opening of U.S. Assassin number 2. In the first book, we learned that Joe Knight has been lying to his wife for 10 plus years. Oh yeah, she knew he was in the military and that he went on missions and assignments, but she had no real idea of what he was involved in and how him going around the world doing his superhero shtick could endanger her and her family. Because Joe did not trust her with what was going on, she was flat-footed and unprepared when a bunch of superpowered villains showed up, kidnapped her, and kidnapped her 2 children. I mean, really take a moment to think about that. He lied to her, not once, but every single day for 10 plus years. His lies almost caused the death of their children, of her children. How do you go back to your life after that? I mean, how do you go back to being the smiling, doting wife of a superhero that you never knew was a superhero? The answer to that question is, you don't. There should have been some HE double hockey stick to pay for what he did to this family. Instead, we open up U.S. Assassin number 2 with the family going on a camping trip vacation like nothing happened. Just as before, the wife is just a prop. She has no character, she has no personality, she's just there. She might as well just be a real doll for all intent and purpose because she has no greater character than a silicone doll sitting on your bed that occasionally you boff. And if you don't care about Joe Knight, you really don't care about his family. Oh sure, you might care about the idea of his family, but they're not characters, so you don't. Let's take a moment and let's rewrite the opening of U.S. Assassin number 2. I want you to imagine Joe Knight driving up to his family home, getting out of the car. He's hesitant. He's not sure what to expect. He doesn't take notice of the repair truck down the street. Doesn't pay attention to the guy in the cherry picker up taking care of the telephone poles. What draws his attention is a ruckus coming from the backyard. And instead of going to the front door, he goes into the backyard and finds his 2 sons. They're playing, they're arguing, they're doing what kids do. And at the moment, they're bickering about some game that they're playing. The younger son accusing the older boy of not playing by the rules. Dad interjects and the kids are just elated to see that he's there, especially the younger boy. The older boy, he's happy to see his dad, but he's old enough to realize that his dad showing up is going to be trouble. But as Joe Knight settles the boys down and helps settle their argument, his wife shows up on the back porch. Arms folded, stern expression, she tells the boys to go inside. There's this long pause. The panel shows her on the far right and him on the far left, and the chasm between them speaks volumes. She reminds him that he's not supposed to be there, and he nods and says he knows. She reminds him that the judge said that he can't just keep showing up like this out of the blue. And now, Joe Knight, the superhero, like a scolded child, acknowledges it. But he comes back with a retort that he just wanted to see her. He just wanted to see his boys. He just wanted to talk to her, try to work things out, have a real conversation about what's happening. A conversation that's not in front of lawyers and counselors and judges. She's hesitant. She still loves him, but at the same time, he has lied to her every day for more than a decade. And his lies almost cost her her life, and she almost had to watch her 2 sons die because of his lies. But she still loves him, so she does invite him into the house, and they start to talk about what's been going on since the last issue. The fact that she told him to get out, The fact that she wanted to go to counseling, but the fact that since he's a secret agent and he's not supposed to have blown his cover to anyone, including his family, who can they go talk to about their problems? She can't even bring this up in front of the judge. They can't go see a therapist to work through their issues because the therapist doesn't have clearance. And he tells her that he knows that and that he's sorry. And he's been saying sorry a lot for months since everything for the previous issue actually happened. But he loves her, and he loves his sons, and he loves their family, and he wants to do everything, anything he can to pull their family back together again. And it's not like she's happy with this situation. Again, Linda loves her husband. But how do you get past the lies? Joe pleads his case. Let's go on a camping trip. We go on a camping trip every year. You love it. The boys love it. We can just get away. We can be a family again for just a couple of days. We can talk. We can work this out. We just need to remind ourselves of how much we love each other and why. And she's tempted. The problem is that she's just not ready to forgive him yet. Because not only has he been lying to her for years, but now that she's been pulled into this world of espionage, Joe has turned her and her sons into liars too, as they have to cover up for Dad. Linda asks Joe to leave, and Joe agrees. And then his youngest son comes storming down the stairs. He doesn't want his father to go. He blames his mother, and you get an idea of what she has been dealing with this entire time. She's trying to protect her boys, and her boys are angry because her decision, in their minds, is what's tearing their family apart. When Linda tells her son to go back upstairs, he screams out, "I hate you!" And Joe immediately intervenes. "Don't talk to your mother that way." His raised voice casts an aura of silence across the entire room. Ashamed, Joe goes over to his son, tears streaming down the little boy's eyes. He takes a knee and he tells his son, "Don't hate your mom. This isn't her fault. This is my fault." His youngest boy doesn't want to hear it though. All he knows is that his dad who's a superhero, and he can't tell anyone about that. His dad lives in an apartment somewhere else, and he doesn't understand why. As Joe stands up, he apologizes again, not just to his sons, but to their mother, his wife, as he turns and walks out the door. Our choices have consequences. Joe Knight has not faced a single emotional consequence for the choices he has made in 2 issues of this comic book. Despite having a fantastic premise, there is no emotional hook for U.S. Assassin. Joe Knight could be a character that we want to get behind. He could be the Captain America of all of Comicsgate. And instead, he's a papier-mâché character, a cartoon cutout. He's a paper doll. And that really is the tragedy of U.S. Assassin. Because with a little bit of work, this could be an amazing book. But instead, the story comes off as shallow as an episode of the Super Friends from 1978. Mark, you write action and adventure really well, but you're not giving me or your audience any emotional hook to draw us in and help us to care about the characters that you put into these wonderful adventures. If there is any book that I have read out of Comicsgate that exemplifies the biggest problem in Comicsgate, it is U.S. Assassin. Beautiful designs, great looking artwork, a ton of potential, all squandered and wasted because there is no pathos. And I have nothing inside this book for 2 issues. to make me care about who Joe Knight is and what is happening in his life. And at the end, the only thing I have to look forward to is a crossover with another comic book that I won't spoil here, but I will say feels trite and unearned. So in my book, this is strike one, and this is strike two. And I'll give it another shot. I plan on backing the third installment of US Assassin. But I'll tell you right now, Mark, if you can't give me an emotional hook to make me care about these characters, I won't be back again. It is 3 strikes, and you're out of there. But I'll tell you right now, I really hope on the next issue, you knock the cover off the ball and put it right outside the park. Just give me some emotional hook to make me care. I know you can do it. I've got faith in you, and if you find yourself having trouble, Lord knows there's plenty of other writers in Comicsgate that can help you pull it off. Don't be afraid to ask for help, Mark, because US Assassin has an amazing amount of potential, and I just do not want to see it squandered for 1 second more. Final score, a 3.08 rounded up to a 3.1 out of 5 stars. A comic book that is comfortably average, but could be so much more.